Alright, today I'll be teaching you about the distance and midpoint formula and how to apply it. Alright, the distance formula is d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared. D equals square root of x2 minus x1 all in parentheses squared plus y squared minus y1 or y2 minus y1 squared. That's your distance formula. And then your midpoint formula is m parentheses x1 plus x2 comma y1 plus y2, and all that is over 2. And then these x's and y's are points on a graph. So for example, you have 0, 0. Your x1 would be 0, and your y1 would be 0, and then your other set would be 2, 4, and this is your x2, and then this is your y2. Alright, so how do you apply the distance formula? So here, we'll get an example. What is the distance between, so we're going to get 2 points. Let's do -3, 5 and 4, -1. Alright, so your first step in solving this equation will be to bring down your distance formula. Always write out all the steps so you know not to forget anything. So it's going to be x2 minus x1 parentheses squared plus y2 minus y1 parentheses squared, and then make sure you have the square root of that. Okay, so now you're going to plug in this equation, these points. So you can go ahead and label it x1, y1, x2, y2. So now all you do is plug in all these into these spots. Alright, so now we're going to have d equals the square root of, so x2 is 4 minus x1, which is a -3. So minus a -3, this makes it positive. Whoops. So it's going to be +3 parentheses squared. Alright. So then we can plus y2, which is -1, minus a 5 parentheses squared. Okay. So now we can do 7 squared plus -6 squared, square root of all that. And then it'll be 49 plus 36 square root of that. So, and then your final answer is going to be D, the distance between these two points on a graph is the square root of 85. And that's how you solve using the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points. So now what we're going to work on is we're going to work on using the midpoint formula and how to apply it. So again, down here I'll write out the midpoint formula. Okay. Alright, midpoint formula is M equals x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So for this example, the two sets of points we will use, or the question will be, find the midpoint of the line segment joining the points -5, 1 and -1, 6. Okay, so now we are going to bring down this formula, rewrite it out to make sure we don't forget any steps. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we're going to label this. Oops. To make sure we don't forget anything. We don't mess up anything either. So it's going to be x1, y1, x2, y2. Because this is the x slot, this is the y slot. This x slot, it's y slot. Alright, so x1 is going to be a -5. And then plus x2, which is 6, divide that by 2, comma, and then it's going to be 1 plus a -1 over 2, alright. I'm sorry, I messed that little part up real quick. Hold on. See, I caught myself on this error by, instead of doing x2, I used y2 for this first problem. So really, it's -5 plus a -1 over 2, and then the other one is one plus 6. Alright. So what you have m equals -6 over 2, which goes out to -3, and m equals 7/2. And that's your final answer. So now we can do one more equation, one more problem, I would say, of midpoint. So again, we're going to bring down the formula. x1 plus x2 over 2, comma, y1 plus y2 over 2. So the next problem is going to be the same exact thing, except the different coordinates are going to be -3, 4, and 5, 6. So again here we need to label x1, y1, x2, y2. So now we have -3 plus 5 over 2, and then we have 4 plus 6 over 2. Alright. Alright, so now we have 2 over 2 and 10 over 2. So your midpoint of this is 1, 5. And that is how you do the distance and midpoint formula. All right, thanks.